hills of Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. It's time for another episode of Corner of the Galaxy from the Box, the show that gets you behind the scenes of the LA Galaxy and into the minds of soccer reporters and MLS experts. Your hosts for the day are Corner of the Galaxy's Josh Guesman and LA Times soccer reporter Kevin Baxter. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy from the Box on cornerofthegalaxy.com, live from Coachella on this February 9th. I'm your host, Josh Guesman. Joining me today is Mr. Kevin Baxter. LA Galaxy 2-2 draw with Charlotte in the preseason. All right, starting to get everything lined up. We're starting to see players go a little bit longer, up into the 60-minute range. So we're going to talk about some of the game. We're going to talk about what we saw today, what we can expect throughout the rest of that preseason. Joining us here shortly, we are going to have some players, some coaches, some general managers, some presidents. All that fun stuff will be here shortly. So before we get too long, let's talk to Kevin here and see how he enjoyed everything. Kevin?
Hi, is this working?
This it seems to be, yes.
Yeah, this is great. We have Mike out here running the soundboard. It's no more amateur hour with you.
Yeah,
Mike,
I know.
Mike worked, people don't know this, he did Taylor Swift's world tour. Worked the soundboard there, so now he's working with us. This is great.
Yeah, no, it is really good. So our first guest is going to be making his way over here, but we'll be joined by Zanka. So Zanka's going to be here for first time. We'll get to hear from him joining the LA Galaxy. Again, a 2-2 draw for the Galaxy today. Looking at what you saw again from the first 60-ish so minutes with the starters, looked good. Galaxy continued to be sort of that possession-dominant team. Some highlights, obviously, Gabriel Peck running up that right-hand side. Christian Ramirez. A trialist right now, right? That's how it is.
Ruben Ramos Jr.?
Yeah, we imagine the trialist thing will go away here real fast. So he's out here. Yeah, Ruben Ramos Jr. was great. Elijah Winder. Is it Winder or Winder? I was told Winder, but we'll find out for sure and do that. Greg Vanney will be able to talk to us a little bit today. But from everything that we saw, one, it makes you think the LA Galaxy, quote unquote, are back. Right? They've come back here.
They won the MLS Cup last year.
They're back. Can you say they're back?
There's the trophy right there. But
yeah, make sure you take a picture with that before you leave as well.
There are 30 teams in the league, and only one of them has that, and it's the Galaxy.
But no, seeing some great showing here from Galaxy players. Edwin Surreal, real strong. Looking at Maya Yoshida with a goal in there. Miguel Berry with a goal. Yeah, following that up.
Maya Yoshida with a goal and an assist.
Yeah, because he had an assist one on the earlier one there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but Miguel Berry might have had that first goal as well in the first game. It was just about to go over the line before Gabriel Peck towed it in.
It's a striker controversy now with the Galaxy.
That's what it is. Miguel Berry, 2 goals. But no, interesting to see also, if you're hanging around Coachella for a little bit, you'll see on the field that's just over here, you might see somebody called Dejan Jovalic, right? So that's somebody over there who has moved fields. That's sort of the interesting thing about Coachella that we're seeing here, is that even if you move teams, you're just on the field next door. And then that, obviously, you get to watch your old team, you have your new team, and everything in between. So we'll see how the Galaxy can sort of put that all together and sort of see how they do everything there, right? The preseason is about getting minutes, right? And we're always worried about that. But one of the things that we always look for and one of the things we watch for is combinations, partnerships. What does that starting lineup start to look like, right? Seeing John Nelson on the left-hand side. Big deal that Novak Mitrovic was in goalkeeping today, right? Getting the 60 minutes there as well. So with 4 goalkeepers on the roster, that's something obviously we're going to be talking about through the entire preseason and see how that goes through. So a lot to get to today in terms of looking at the game, looking at all the stuff. But again, preseason, you get to stretch your legs. You sort of get to have some fun out there, right? So the whole goal of this entire preseason is that whenever you get there, on the 23rd, which is weeks away now. On the 23rd is that you were ready to play San Diego. You were ready to rock and roll and come in. So we'll stop here and pause a little bit as we get our first player in here. Zanka, it's nice to meet you. Congratulations on joining the LA Galaxy.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is your first time getting to see some of the fans, and you get to experience Coachella. What do you think of Coachella so far?
Well, it's different. It's great. It's unbelievable. The backdrop here, football pitches, and just a lot of soccer pitches.
You can say it either way. Everybody thinks that we know. We know either way.
No, so it's great. It's obviously great for a European to come over here and experience the culture and the football culture as well. Because I must say there's not that many people all the time at preseason games in Europe. So
right, yeah. Is this more unique than maybe? Do you have stuff like this in Europe? Is there a place in Europe that people will go to sort of train next to each other? So that way, there's games in the summertime, that type of thing.
Yeah, there are a few, but not really the same kind of invitational feeling.
Right.
So people will play, but it's more like you could play for closed doors, and then basically you get the fitness in, and then you return to your domestic leagues.
What do you like this though? Because the fans are here, there maybe is a little bit more pressure on you, but you're going to have that in the regular season. So why not get used to it now?
It kind of feels, it gives you a little bit of that edge that sometimes you lack in a preseason game, because you're out there and it feels like a training. So this actually feels like a competition match, and that's. It gets people going. It gives the young guys a chance to play in front of the fans, to kind of feel it playing with the crest on your chest, and I think it's good. It's great.
Yeah, not too bad. What do you think of the LA Galaxy? You're here for a little bit. You've been going through trainings. What do you think of the team so far?
No, it's a great group of guys. Obviously, we're trying to improve and get gel together. Obviously, you guys. I want to say you guys had an amazing year last year. I followed you guys the last 3-4 months, I'd say. So we're just trying to, get better. I'm trying to get to know all of my teammates, get to know them on a personal level, and obviously on the pitch. I've had, I want to say, 3 sessions prior to this. So it's not really like I'm up to speed yet.
Right.
But coaches are doing everything to trying to get me up to speed as quick as possible, and then be ready for the season.
We always have new players do this, especially. But you sort of tell us about what type of game do you bring as a defender? What do you think that your strongest points are here that you can add to the Galaxy?
Well, experience obviously is one thing. Played a ton of international games, a ton of European games out there. Playing in 5 years in the Premier League. Playing Champions League, Europa League, European Championship, World Championship. So, I want to say that, hopefully I can bring what Myers brought to the Galaxy, leadership and obviously composure on and off the ball. And I want to say that I'm a player that makes the guys around me better. And that's something that I really, value a lot.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to look at the trophy yet? That's what you're playing for. That's
it looks
the prize.
nice. I've seen a lot of pictures of it.
Whenever you come here and now you're the new guy in here, what's the most important part for you to sort of make sure that you can sort of understand what this team is about?
I think it's basically getting to know, getting a coffee with, the boys, sitting down, having laughs, just getting to know people on a, kind of a deeper level. I guess that's the reason why a team like the Galaxy goes out here. Other teams need to travel to be in, better conditions weather-wise. We don't.
Right.
So the reason I think we go away is obviously to have time for the team to gel together, to get to know each other, and to not have to race back to family, friends, and whatnot. So this is why we do it, and I think it's working wonders for a guy like me. Obviously, I had 1.5 days in LA before we went out here, so it really just makes that. It makes it feel like I've been here for a while, even though I've only been here for a week.
Right.
What do you think of MLS? I mean, one thing with this invitational is you get to see other MLS teams. It's just not inter-squad or playing lower division teams. You're seeing the teams you'll play against in the regular season. What do you think of the league so far?
Well, I think it seems like it's getting more and more competitive, and you kind of feel it with the the amount of players coming in, and I think as well the level of the domestic players kind of each year taking steps to become better. Makes sense with the World Cup coming over here in a few years. So it looks like a challenging league on a lot of levels, and a league that's only going to get better the next 2-3 years.
You understand the playoff format, all that. You're not used to that. Do you like the idea of how that works?
Well, I'm a big basketball and NFL fan,
Okay.
so I kind of get the whole system.
Right.
It is a bit weird that you play 3 games in the first one, and then
Nobody likes that. Just so you know, nobody likes that.
Fine.
So we would much rather it be a home and away and that type of thing. But it's one of those things.
Yeah, I think that kind of just makes more sense. But
Right.
obviously, I think the MLS wants the best teams to go through and then give the teams a better chance to level out that the difference.
By the way, you said you're an NFL fan. You know there's a game on tonight. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're going to be cutting out of here to go watch that? You guys got some plans?
I think we got a little thing to get some food in and watch the game.
Now, I know you haven't spent a lot of time in LA. What's something that you are going to have to do? We'll let you go after this, but what's something you're going to have to do in Los Angeles that you're excited that you're in LA to do? Is it to go see some of the games, or is it to go to a specific place where?
Yeah, obviously getting to see, getting to watch the Lakers live, the Clippers live.
Yeah.
That's something that has always been on my bucket list. SoFi looks cool.
Yeah.
So I want to, have a chance to do that, and then, just enjoy the culture, the food, all the LA, the sunshine. That's obviously, major selling points when it comes to you guys' city.
Well, we'll look forward to talking to you throughout the season. Good luck. I'm sure we'll see you out there, and the season starts on the 23rd, so I'm sure you'll be ready.
Yeah,
right?
We'll do.
Zanka, thanks so much for stopping by.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you.
All right, there we go. First guest. Always nice to stop by. Always nice we could get to talk to somebody.
The new guy. Too.
Yeah, one of the new guys. It's always nice to hear from. I'm sure as the preseason sort of rotates here and he gets a little bit further into that, you're going to see Zanka getting some minutes out there, as he talked about just getting in with the team and sort of getting used to everybody.
Already signing autographs.
Already,
ready to go.
as he should, and no, we're glad we can have him. I mean, you look at the ability, and one of the things we've sort of talked about is Greg Vanney's ability to sort of maybe morph this formation with Zanka, right? Because Zanka, you could possibly go with 3 in the back whenever you need to, right? Certainly brings height. He was way taller than most people are taller than you, but
Yes,
he was way
everyone.
taller than me too. So it's always nice to once again realize that my dreams of being a professional athlete will go away real
Talent
fast.
has nothing to do with it.
Nothing. It's all height. That's how it works. But no, looking at the preseason so far, obviously the big focus that we're going to see is, sort of on the offensive side of things, just because you're looking at the replacements as the Galaxy have. Christian Ramirez today, right? Talking
good
about
game.
him. That's one of the ones that we're looking at. Not officially official, but certainly on the field today. So I'll let you draw your own conclusions from that. Ramirez is a guy who's coming from Columbus. Columbus, a team that likes to play with the ball. Columbus, a team that likes to pass around, create chances, and you can sort of see that Ramirez looks like he's comfortable in that. Maybe a little bit more of a hold-up guy than maybe Joveljic was, right? So certainly for height, I was talking with some fans, and we were sort of looking around, but looking at Ramirez, and you could say height-wise, he certainly fits in there. A little bit of a bigger, taller body, also a little bit more of an athletic body as well. Just having that presence in that final third inside the box.
But we're talking about the budding striker controversy because, Mateus Nascimento supposedly is coming from Brazil as a U22 player. We'll see if that happens. If that, I think Christian Ramirez starts the season as the starter because Nascimento won't be here or won't be fit by then.
Or certainly, even if you're looking at that as a U22 and a guy who's had 96 games so far with his team, and then changes in ownership and everything like that, it's going to take a little bit. And paperwork.
And he played with Peck in the Brazilian youth program, so they're already going to have a chemistry. And so if he comes in as a starter, Christian Ramirez all of a sudden is your backup. And Miguel Berry, that's where he's got a goal and a half already this winter. So there's the controversy.
Well, we've sort of talked about it too and looked at it. Just in terms of what Miguel Berry brings you versus what you're getting. Miguel Berry is a very different striker in a lot of ways, and is going to be your hustle guy, is going to be sort of your more physical guy. He's going to bang bodies later in games. He's going to try to knock things in. So he is never, whenever you look at the depth chart for the LA Galaxy and striker, it was never... at last year, it was never Joveljic and Berry. It was Joveljic, Paintsil, Peck, Fagundes, you could sort of do that as the striker position, and then Miguel Berry would come in for those cleanup minutes, which was super useful whenever the Galaxy were trying to kill games or do any of that stuff. So interesting to see what possibly that new U22 coming in looks like, right? Just in terms of what the type of game he brings. Is it going to be similar to Ramirez? Is it going to be different than Ramirez? And trying to see how that fits in with the rest of what the LA Galaxy are trying to do, right? But I think for what we said, I think there was initial panic, and I certainly have seen it on Instagram and everything else that has been around. There's initial panic. You see these guys going. I've talked to people around the team. They were also sad to see those guys go, right? This was not something that wanted to happen. If you were in a perfect world, everybody comes back and you get to keep everybody and everything's perfect. That's not what it is in Major League Soccer. There is a penalty for winning an MLS Cup, and that is salary caps go up, all of those bonuses get paid, all this stuff, then the cap gets squeezed and you're going to have to start moving things. So looking back, what Will Kuntz and Greg Vanney were able to do, focusing in on last season and the ability to sort of get that into a finite amount of time, right? They basically had to, at one point during that season, say, we're going all in on this season. This is it. And we'll worry about next season whenever we get there. We know we're going to have problems next season, but for right now, you got to do it. And I think we've talked on the podcast so many times about windows and having the window open for winning a cup. And you've seen teams like Philadelphia is probably the best example right now, at least. Philadelphia is on the cusp of winning an MLS Cup 2 or 3 times. But they can't close it out, and their window has now expired, and now they get rid of coaching, and now it's like they're starting back over. Well, the LA Galaxy saw what they were doing, said, let's go all in. They get the MLS Cup, and now they're working to rebuild that. But if you watch this team, it doesn't feel like this is a different LA Galaxy. It actually feels like it's the same LA Galaxy.
Well, and so Marco Royce was that piece where they said, we're going for it. And he's taking up some salary. But people look at this and say, wait a minute, why are we going to get Mateus Nascimento as a striker when we had a striker we really liked in Dejan Jovalic? And it's not so much the players or even their skill sets, it's the contracts. Nascimento comes in as a U22 player. His hit against the salary cap is much smaller. That's
$150,000 versus what Jovalic's would have been max budget charge.
Which 683 or whatever. And so what happened is Gabriel Peck aged out of his young designated player contract. Jovalic aged out of his U22 contract. So it's not that Nascimento replaces Dejan. It's that we get a U22. The Galaxy get a U22 as opposed to a guy who is a full salary cap hit. And so that's what's going on. It's not that the Galaxy were unhappy with any of the players that they had to get rid of. It's, as Will Kuntz has said more than one time, it's not a soccer problem, it's a math problem.
Yeah, and in Major League Soccer, you need a calculus degree in order to do that math, but we're here to try to help you as much as we can whenever we look at it. The other big part that we're obviously focusing on is the 4 goalkeepers, right? And seeing Novak Mitrovic playing today. Again, with Mitrovic, you get a young goalkeeper. You get I think, a talented distributor. Seems like he's a good shot stopper, but doesn't necessarily have the experience of John McCarthy. You saw, I think, JT Marcinkowski finishing this up. That was sort of the wrinkle that got thrown in this offseason. Brady Scott is back. So, again, 4 goalkeepers. Now,
3 with MLS experience.
Yeah, 3 with MLS experience. And JT Marcinkowski, everybody thinks wonderful things about him from everybody I've talked to as well. So, if you've been around Major League Soccer long enough, you know how many goalkeepers they usually have on a roster, and that's 3. So that means that there's 1 extra right now. Now, we'll see what the LA Galaxy do. There's loans that can happen, so that way you can move guys down and sort of work around that. And certainly with JT, maybe more of a rehab stint this year, but we haven't even got to talk to him. This first sort of minutes I've seen him play. So it's about sort of understanding what is going on with him and sort of how that sort of fits in, and then what Greg Vanney's plans are for having the goalkeepers and sort of doing that. So, that's one of those positions that you're sort of looking at. And of course, we all know that we're talking about Greg Vanney having to find a replacement for Ricky Puig for, half the season, 3/4 of the season. I think I remember Scott French said, in July, and Greg was like, oh, July. I mean, within the realm of possibility, but no, he was sort of like, I don't know that we're thinking that. I've heard Maya Yoshida say October for Ricky Puig, right? So it's one of these in terms of whenever you bring him back and whenever he can come back. And as the rules stand right now, there's no replacement for Ricky. So that's one of those things. Diego Fagundes is going to have to step a little bit. You've seen guys like Elijah Winder step up and play in that position. By the way, I'm still super, super, super high on what we've seen so far from Winder. If you saw him out here playing, the give and goes, the combinations, the ability to go forward, the movement both inside, combinations with Yamane, combinations with Peck, Fagundes coming across, combinations into the center. So we're really starting to see some of that take place. And for a young player who's coming from USL, you have to sort of stop and think to yourself, this is a guy who is not playing at Major League Soccer level and is immediately thrust into sort of the starting team that's out here, and you have to ask yourself: Has Elijah looked like he's even missing a step? And for me, the answer is no right now. That's usually a pretty good sign of people being able to sort of come into this and be successful whenever they are given the chance. But I mean, with every young kid who's out there, there's a chance that they could be here or they could be gone the next day.
Well, because depth is going to be so important. There's so many tournaments. The Galaxy have the regular season tournament. They have the Leagues Cup, US Open Cup. They have Champions Cup. There's a lot of games, especially if the schedule is very front-loaded. So you think about why is Zanka here when you already have Yoshida and you already have Garces and Zavaleta? Well, because all these guys are going to have to play. There's going to be a lot of games, and they're going to come very fast early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, looking just, I think in March, there's 7 games in March, right? If you thought that the season is going to start fast, just wait. There are 7 games in March. You're going to get your February 23rd game against San Diego, and then you're immediately going to go right into this CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament. So it's going to come fast. It's going to be furious, and there's not going to be a lot of time for these LA Galaxy team to grow or gel as they're getting into that tournament. So the downside of having to replace guys and do all that stuff is certainly there. Well,
here comes a guy that's played a little bit.
We might be able to ask him a little bit about some of that. We're glad to have on the program not only an LA Galaxy legend, but a man who was just notified that he's having a statue come in 2026 to Legends Plaza. A big warm welcome for Mr. Cobi Jones. Cobi, thanks for stopping by again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. We are always excited. I have to imagine whenever you started playing soccer for the LA Galaxy, and we won't have to say how many years ago that was. I don't like talking about it either. But was there ever an idea that someday maybe you would have a statue? Was that even an idea that crossed your mind?
No, not at all. We were just hoping the league would survive, back then. So let's be realistic about it.
Right. No, it seems like, what are your feelings about it? I mean, there's going to be this big bronze statue. Are you worried about how it's going to look? Do you know what pose do you get to have any input on this?
I do have the opportunity to have input on it.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how it's going to end up.
Okay.
I do want it to look different, than everything else that is up there.
Okay.
So that those are the generals, right now. But it is, obviously it's an honor, to get a statue. I'm not quite sure yet. I don't think I've taken it in, at this point.
Right.
I think it would be difficult for anyone to really take it in all at once.
Right. Kevin thinks he's going to get a statue one day already. He's already planning it.
Yeah,
so.
we talked about it.
That's exactly
in the media
right?
wing. But I think it's really cool. We talked about this just before it was announced. It's really cool that it's coming in conjunction. It's coming in 2026 because that's when the World Cup will be here. You are still the all-time leader in caps for the U.S. national team. Played in 2 World Cups or 3?
3. Come on.
3 World Cups. 3 World Cups. So, I mean, that tie just seems like somebody thought of that and did a good job of putting that together, honoring you for the national team in the World Cups and getting this whole thing started, and then with the Galaxy getting the whole thing started with MLS.
Yeah, look, I can't give enough credit to all the people that were involved with it. All the people with AEG, all the people with the Galaxy that allowed this to happen. And yes, that it coincides with that 2026. That's something special. I mean, sometimes it's meant to be at the right time, right? Timing is everything, and this seems to work out perfectly.
I was watching the video of it, and I know you got choked up. Did they get you pretty good? Did they surprise you pretty good?
They did surprise me well. I mean, you all know Jamie. She did a very good job of thinking that I was going down there to give a little speech on something.
Right.
Right. So I did expect everybody to be there, but not for those reasons. And so that really kind of threw me off. And as you see it when I get choked up, it and even now. Because I always think about my mom, because she was like the driving force of everything that I did within within my life, but within this game as well. Right. So that always, touches me, wishing that she could be here, during this time.
Because you said she was the one that said early on, you need to have a statue.
Yeah, this is true.
Moms always know best. That's how it works. You, as a longtime observer and obviously integrated within the team throughout all these many years, you've seen these LA Galaxy rises and falls throughout the entire time. The ebbs and flows of maybe Major League Soccer. What did you make of last year and just sort of how everything came together?
I think it was absolutely fantastic. I don't think you could really put into words, looking at the year before and a lot of the struggles that happened. And even before that, when we had situations, with the fans being upset, with the team not playing well, the front office staff just changing in and out, that you couldn't expect within a year and a half, maybe, the turnaround that happened. And a lot of it has to do, of course, with the decisions being made in the front office, the people that were brought in, but then also how things were worked with that group of players.
Right.
I give Greg a lot of credit, with that, just being able to see so many new faces come in and then to find a way to have all those players connect. I don't think, many people realize how difficult it is to get star players, to come in and say, okay, I'm willing to work together as a unit,
right.
To believe in that rising tide, situation, because as an athlete, he's like, you think me, you think about this guy, I want the ball, I can do this. But these guys came together and said, okay, if we work together, if we find a way, that we can work together defensively, move that forward through the midfield and up front, we're going to do very well. And we saw that success.
How important is that? And we commented on a lot, but just the team chemistry. You talked about working together, but it's more than that. It's not just you sacrificing for each other. There's decisions out there that happen all the time that take away from me, right, and go back to the team. And how important is that formula to win championships?
That has to come first.
Okay.
First and foremost before anything else. As I've been on teams before where we had more talent but didn't get that end result.
Right.
Because when it all comes down to it, when you're starting the season out, the goal, I think players we have to remember, fans we have to remember, it's not that, okay, that this guy gets the scoring title,
right?
Or this guy's defensive player of the year. It's to get that trophy,
right?
Right there, that's sitting over there. That's everybody. That should be everybody's first goal. What do we have to do? What do I have to do to get that goal? And bringing all those different personalities together is difficult. And when you have ebbs and flows, not only within a time frame,
right?
But also within a year,
right?
A lot of that coincides with okay, what's going on with the team, what's going on in the locker room, and all those types of things that you have to get over and you have to overcome.
Right.
Well, I want to go back to you for a second though, because we know about your success with the Galaxy. I think you scored the first goal in franchise history as well. The 3 World Cups, the U.S. record for most caps, all the things you accomplished with the Galaxy. You are now owner of a soccer team, part owner of Angel City. Mm-hmm. But when you go back to high school, you had to walk on at UCLA. And there's a lot of kids out here that might want to play soccer someday. When you had to walk on, at that point, were you thinking there's a message that, hey, maybe I'm not good enough? You wound up walking on and getting the scholarship, and we know the success that followed. But it seems to me that was a real junction where you could have gone anyway, and you kept going.
Yeah, that was probably the major point, for my soccer career was going to UCLA and going out as a walk-on, with that team. A lot of people probably don't know, but the coach at the time was Ziggy Schmidt at UCLA. So it was a process there. Yes, there's always going to be doubt. That's what I think, a lot of people need to realize, young kids need to realize. The players out there that you saw today, a lot of them have doubt at times. It's how you react to it and not worry about it. And, and some of the biggest things, I don't know if it was Jordan or whatever, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? That is so true. I remember playing through all the years with Mauricio Cienfuegos, and, you make a bad pass or you may miss a shot. One of the first things that was out of his mouth was always next play. And that's a reality of it. You cannot worry about what you've done already. It's about, okay, how do you continue to work towards getting that result, be it going towards to get a goal, to winning that game, to win a championship, so you have, those are the things that you have to focus on and put all the naysayers behind you, because there will be a lot. I had a lot of those. Like you said, I was a walk-on at UCLA. There was the self-doubt, but I continued to work anyways towards doing my best to try to contribute to that team. And then eventually my shot came. And when that shot came, I was able to, find a way to, long story short, I went from a substitute in that first game. I still remember it to this day in Las Vegas, a substitute at halftime playing against Bruce Arena in Virginia.
Okay. And
then starting the next game, I think it was against Bob Bradley's team, actually. And then from that point, when I started that next game in college, I ended up starting every game after, and because that was my moment of grabbing it and holding on to it and not letting someone else have the chance.
I like to say in Hamilton, I'm not going to waste my shot.
That's it. Don't waste the shot.
I know last time you were on the show, we were talking about Ventura County, right? And your
Yes.
involvement with Ventura County. What do you see for this season with them? Certainly, as the LA Galaxy sort of second team there, you get to see a lot of developing players. What do you think of last year? What do you think of this year?
No, I think it was great. I think a lot of people have to understand it is the Galaxy's like second team, so you have a situation of players go in and out. So we get a little bit of a view of what those players are able to do, and seeing like a player like Ruben Ramos, and you see what he was doing up there in Ventura, and then what he's doing here, and on the U20 national team, all those different things. You can see those natural steps coming about to become something special. You know, for the Galaxy organization. But yeah, up in Ventura, I think everything is going great. It gives the younger players an opportunity, in my view, to play in front of a crowded stadium where fans are looking at them. Right. That you are the star. And for all intents and purposes, okay. They're not saying, okay, Ricky Puig. They're not going for Gabriel Peck. Right. They're calling out the Ruben Ramos. For good or bad. Right. Hey, why'd you miss that shot? Hey, you did great today. Those are the things that you need as a player to develop. Because if you develop with no pressure, guess what? That jump when you come to the first team is going to be so much more difficult when all the eyes are on you.
No, you can certainly see that. Well, Cobi, we want to thank you for stopping by. Congratulations again on the trophy. I'm sure, or the statue. We will talk about the statue more as it comes on. I'm sure we'll have you back on again. But as always, the legend, Mr. Cobi Jones, everybody. Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes. Mr. Cobi Jones on his way out. Everybody, by the way, wants to come in here, and then we want to get everybody out of here so that way you can go to the Super Bowl. We're aware of it. You're aware of it. I just want to make sure.
The Super Bowl?
I think there is something. There is something there. So we want to get going and do all that stuff. But no. Always great to catch up with Cobi, and been a class act since he came in and joined the LA Galaxy. You'll see him around. Always make sure you stop and say hi. He's absolutely a class act. We love him. One of our more frequent guests now coming on, having to duck under the tent because height is everything here. General Manager Mr. Will Kuntz is joining us now here to have a talk.
There's that thing you won last year.
How about that?
It almost seems a little surreal to see that it's just right there. You could just go get another one real easily, right?
I don't know about that, but it never gets old seeing it.
I'm sure it doesn't. We talk about the success you had last year. Obviously, having MLS Cup. Was there a point in the season, and I know we've talked about the point in the season, even the first game where you guys said, we're going to be good. But was there a point in the season from the GM spot where you guys sort of had to say, this is going to be our window to win something here?
You knew we had something cooking. We had something really special going on. I think back to, obviously, the first game. After that game, the feeling in the locker room. When we came back and won in Kansas City, went down early and then battled back. I mean, we from early on, we knew that this group had a lot of potential. I think it was the moment around signing Marco, right? When we knew that, hey, there's this opportunity to do this. It means kind of pushing our chips into the middle a little bit and really going for it. But that was the moment where we said, this is our window, this is our chance to go do it. And we don't want to be sitting here in January saying, oh man, what if we pushed a little bit to get Marco?
But there is a window. This is not something that the media has made up, right? There are these windows that sort of come, and we talked about Philadelphia a little bit before, where they're almost there. They're on the cusp of winning something. They don't do it, and now that window's sort of gone for a little bit. They're going to have to do some rebuilding and do something, but it can pass you by.
Yeah, and you never know when that moment is gone. Right? It could be injuries, it could be transfers. There's so many things that go into it, so you just have to maximize the moment ahead of you and not take it for granted. And look, it's our job in the front office to make sure that we have something sustainable every year. But tomorrow's promised to nobody, so you always want to make sure that you're capitalizing on a moment.
This offseason, some pains and some successes, it looks like so far. Yeah. Obviously, that'll all be played out over the course of the season. You don't get any instant report cards on this stuff, but talk about what you guys sort of had to do this offseason to bring a group back that was cap compliant.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but this is a league that makes it really difficult to have success. Guys become more expensive because they get a year older, right? Or guys get expensive because you won MLS Cup, and it's a strange thing to have to kind of reckon with, but it's something that every team that wins faces. And we saw a lot of the difficult choices we had to make, whether it was trading Jalen or Jalen or Dayon to Kansas City, not being able to re-sign Martin. I mean, there's a lot of pain that we felt, right? And trading Gaston, all these different things go into it, and so it's really hard because then every other league in the world, you just say, hey, let's keep this group together and go right back, and nobody's gonna feel bad for us, right? But like I said, it is a real problem that we have to deal with.
Well, one of the successes, or at least one of the additions you guys have made, Lucas Sanabria, officially announced. What do you see from him? Listed sort of as a defensive midfielder, but I think you and I have talked maybe more box to box.
Yeah, I definitely see him more as an 8. A guy can get up and down. Really played at a young age for Nacional, which is a really big club down in Uruguay. He's been on the fringe of the Uruguayan senior national team, and that's really exciting. The thought that we might have somebody who's going to be playing for Uruguay in the World Cup in a year's time here is great. But yeah, excited about him. Diego Polenta's down there also, captain of the team there, and Diego had talked to Lucas a lot about what it was like being here, and he's been champing at the bit, right? Because we had to negotiate the transfer and his contract, and there are a few little last minute details that hung it up, but he's been foaming at the mouth to get going. So it's really good to have him finally announced and in training. He's been on the LA Galaxy World Tour. I saw a picture of him in front of the statue, and then he got his hair cut by Manny, right? That's usually one of those things that comes in. I think there were pictures, and he was certainly out here at the first CVI game. So people so we knew he was around. We just didn't know when officially would get announced. His agent leaked the new away kit. Oh, yeah, I know. So I saw that too. I got in trouble for that one. Look, and you also have maybe one of the new colorways here. Has this been released yet? I got chided today for wearing this. There you go. I've had this for 2 weeks, and then.
What about that voice? It's so deep it needs a lifeguard. I'm coming in hot on my question. Okay. Because last year, your first full year putting the team together, the team was coming off the fan boycott. It was coming off a 7-year stretch where it was not very good. And the expectations, I think, from a lot of fans was, look, make the playoffs, get a home playoff game, and win. And that would have been a good season. No one was talking about Supporters Shield or MLS Cup. You win MLS Cup. Yeah. Now you're in a situation, the expectations are different. If you lose in a shootout in the MLS Cup final, you've actually taken a step backwards. How do you approach that? The expectations are so different. Do you just block that out?
I mean, I think those are the external expectations, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that my goal was just to make the playoffs last year and be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. This is a club that should always be maintaining championship ambitions. And I think for us, it's how can we do this again, knowing how difficult MLS makes it? So I think we've been really considered in the moves that we've made. We haven't done anything unless we really had to do it. And I think the players we brought in, whether that's Sanabria, Elijah Winder, I think is really excited. We saw some of him today. Yeah. Christian Ramirez brings a strong veteran presence, and a guy who's been part of championship teams recently, whether it's MLS Cup or Leagues Cup, and probably one more piece to bring in. I think we've made our squad stronger, despite having to lose some pieces.
Might that one piece be Nascimento?
It might be.
It might be. Never know.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks.
U22. How important is it to get value out of those U22 slots? Because you get unlimited acquisition fees, so that's not going to hurt you. But at least not salary cap wise. You still this is real money that does eventually have to change hands. I have to remind people that every once in a while. But how important is it to get the value out of that U22 slot?
It's massive because look, anytime you have anybody on your senior roster, taking up salary budget space, you want to get contributions for them. But the potential to get an outsized contribution for $200,000 on the cap is massive, and so. It's also important that you have players that have some projection to them, right? That you can see a future with the club. You don't want to have somebody where you're just saying, hey, we're doing this for a budget charge, but you want to know that there's a chance to grow together and really be part of something special. 4 goalkeepers. That's a lot. Are you guys trying to corner the market on goalkeepers in Major League Soccer? No, look, it's a really long season we have ahead of us between Champions League, Campeón de Campeones, Leagues Cup. There's just a lot of attrition that happens, and then there were times last year when Brady was playing with Ventura County, and they're on the road, and you're deep in the season, and your naming guys are beaten up a little bit. It really is, a luxury to have some extra bodies, and JT Marcinkowski's a guy who's he's been a starting keeper in the league. Right. He's a great teammate. He's a Georgetown guy, so he's just a really good veteran presence to have around, and. We thought it made sense to have some, it's a luxury, but it's going to help the group. Greg said, I think in one of his first press conferences, that he had to sort of wait for the dust to settle on this team. Is the dust settling? Are we there yet? It's settling. I wouldn't say we're there yet. Okay. But we think back to where we were this time a year ago, and I remember Dan Beckerman and I were sitting in his suite, and we were sort of figuring out the paint seal back and forth, and Gabriel Peck still hadn't shown up. So yeah, it's still settling, but I think we're a little more settled than we were this time a year ago, which is great.
It makes a lot of sense. Do you have anything else?
Just last thing, the 4 goalkeepers, could one of those be a piece that might bring you something in trade, or?
Yeah, you never know, right? I mean, the plan is to keep this group. I think, we were stretched thin at times last year with 3, and so 4 is a good number if you have 4 guys that you really like. So
you could start with 4, or if a deal happens and you can improve your team, then you maybe move some.
And look, I wouldn't say that's specifically unique to the goalkeepers, right? I mean, every time, not to couch it too much, but we're always open to something that's going to make the team better, as long as we can kind of maintain our chemistry.
Yeah, it makes some sense. Well, we appreciate you stopping by as always. Good luck on the season. Starts February 23rd. Thanks for stopping by, Will.
I appreciate it, guys. And my mother-in-law listens to you guys all the time, so Emily.
She's the one.
Yeah, she'll actually, she tells me, oh, Josh and Kevin said this, and they say that, and I'm like, well, I kind of know a little bit about this, but now that I'm talking to you guys, Emily, you don't have to ask me any questions.
There you go. So she's good. Well, good. We're always happy to have family and friends around the LA Galaxy listening to us. Just a little more pressure on us.
Yeah,
a little pressure on us, a little pressure on you. Thanks again, Will.
Right.
We certainly appreciate it. General Manager, Mr. Will Kuntz, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Always great to hear Will's take on everything going on with the LA Galaxy. We're gonna quickly shift over as we're going. Hey, Mike, hold on. We're gonna go in between. Hey, Mike, wait. Because Greg's coming. Greg's on his way, so we're going to make sure we take Greg first. All right? Yeah, I know. Tom Bogert is in the wings.
Tom Bogert, everybody?
Yeah, we were ready to sub him in.
The stash. By the way, Tom, the 90s called. They want the haircut back.
So we'll get Tom Bogert here in a second, but Greg Vanney's walking up towards us, so we want to get the head coach of the LA Galaxy, so that way he can get back on the bus and head back on out. Big round of applause for Mr. Greg Vanney, everybody. We'll let him get all mic'd up.
One of the few names in soccer bigger than Tom Bogert, by the way. That would not happen normally.
That was it. Greg, thanks. Welcome back. We were here.
Thanks for having me.
We were here a year ago, if you remember correctly, right here in this exact same spot. We were just talking to Will. It was one of those where we were sitting, I think you said, let the dust settle a little on the team, and Will said, it's starting to get there. It feels like we're getting there. Do you feel like things are starting to sort of progress there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think this year we're further along than we were last year at this time, which is a positive, and obviously coming off of a wonderful season. But you can see already the guys that have been around, the continuity and the system and their understanding of their roles and all that gives us a great starting spot going into the season. Now it's just integrating the new faces that are starting to show up into their roles and getting them connected with their teammates. But we're making progress with that. I think today was a nice game. The final actions are still not as sharp as we want them to be, because ultimately it comes down to punishing your opposition. When we created as many good moments as we did today, we need to have more good chances and goals out of that. But I thought it was a good step forward. Again, when you're getting guys fit, we don't tend to do a lot of things to goal early on because it's a process, and we don't want guys shooting and doing a lot of things. So we know that's probably the last thing to come together, but we see a lot of really, really good things and really good combinations, and a young man like Elijah starting to fit into the group and understand his role. Zanka today, for the first time, stepping into a game and having only trained a couple times.
That's you said that.
And Christian just really got here a couple days ago and was running around with the group yesterday and immediately thrown up top. So there's some guys that are still settling in, and Sanabria's here, and it's just a matter of he needs to get a couple training sessions under his belt before we throw in. So these guys are going to start integrating into the group, which is really exciting because we like all of the qualities they bring. And then we'll see. Without a guy like Ricky, you have to see kind of how these pieces settle in and how they're going to really fit together and help the group, and we'll adapt from there. But I thought a good day today, and we're building with each one of these games.
No, we haven't seen Joseph Paintsel out there. I don't think we've seen Marco Royce a whole bunch of it at all yet. Are those guys progressing towards making an appearance here?
Yeah. Marco's doing a lot of work off the field and just trying to get. He came in with a little bit of an inflammation and lower leg inflammation, and he's in a good spot now. And so we're just trying to build a foundation. We want him to have a good, solid, long season. So it's not about right now. It's going to be about the big picture. He'll start to jump into some minutes this week, and so we'll start to see him. Joe on the mend a little bit, and he will start to build his way in when he's safe and ready to go. So we'll keep an eye on him and his timeline and things like that.
One of the guys I'm high on right now, Elijah Winder. Seeing him play throughout the preseason so far, this is a guy coming from USL Championship, right? He stepped up to me, and obviously I'm an amateur at this. He doesn't seem like it bothers him to be at this level or playing at this speed or with this physicality. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, he's a very confident player. He has a great profile as a midfielder, very different than our other players. He's kind of long and rangy and has some power and some height, which is a little bit different. He's got all the qualities to be successful. You know, with each game I'm seeing, it's a little bit, we say paralysis by analysis, and the way that I'm asking him to play and read and recognize situations, and that will define when to show up as the second pivot, when to be high, when to do these things. Those things will become natural for him. And in the first couple of games, you can tell he's overthinking a little bit. And today it became more natural for him as we sat and watched video. He's starting to recognize his positional play and to be in the right spaces at the right times and things like that. But we love the physical qualities he brings. He's very comfortable on the ball. And like I said, he brings a different profile that can help us in the box, both boxes, and in various situations. But he's also a player who can help us in possession and can help us to build attacks and defensively. And so he's learning, but he's learning fast. He's a cerebral kid, and he's taking it all in. And you can see him adapting through the process already, which is a lot of fun.
Yep. You told me something yesterday I didn't know. You played baseball up until your senior year in high school.
I did, yeah.
And you grew up in Arizona, and you went to spring training a lot with your mom. When you look at this, and especially compared to the early days of MLS, where you might play your second division academy team during the preseason, now you have this in this beautiful setting with all the teams coming. It says us really something about the growth of the league and the fans coming out to this too.
Yeah, it's an amazing setting. I mean, Mr. Anschutz, obviously, who has this property and is a super believer in what's happening out here in this preseason, has done a phenomenal job of supporting all of this coming into play and using this facility. The field's in great shape and continue to get better every year, and more teams are seeing this as a place. So we come out here, and in preseason, the things you want good weather, you want good fields, and you want good food, so that you can train, you can play, you can rest and recover, and that's what you're looking for. And I think we pretty much get all of those things here. You rarely see clouds out here even. The wind is stayed, minimal. The fields are in good condition. And you have a lot of competition here to play each other. And, the side is we get to see each other a little bit as we see what each team is doing and how each team is settling in the preseason. So you get a little bit of spying going on, I guess, when you watch each other play. But it's fun. It reminds me a little bit of, like I said, growing up in, the Cactus League out in Arizona when all those teams would come out there and still to this day are playing each other. I would go watch, and big fan of that.
Well, yeah, I saw a lot of coaches out there doing exactly what you talked about, scouting.
Yeah, sure.
4 of the last 5 U.S. national team coaches are here, by the way, with their teams. Peter Vermees, I saw him out here scouting in games. But speaking of Phil Anschutz, there's the cup with his name on it that you won last year.
Cup. Yeah, thank you.
And same question I had for Will. Last year, the expectations were different. Now you've won it, and the idea is to stay on top, and that's much harder than climbing, I understand. How do you feel do you like that challenge? It's much better to come back and try to win again than to have never won, obviously, but how difficult it is to stay at the top.
Yeah, honestly, the expectations are the exact same for me, which is we need to become the best team that we can be over the course of the season, which means every day we're out here to improve, to get better as a group, to play one game at a time and try to build off of each game that we play. There's things we learned from today, and hopefully they'll make us better as we go into the next game. You can't win the trophy until you get to the finals, and so it's important that you can't defend the trophy until you get there. So it's important to commit to the process. We're going to have some new faces. We obviously lost some very important faces. So it's not going to be the same road to where we got to as last year, and we need to be ready to deal with whatever adversity, whatever challenges come our way, and grow from it and be better. And for me, the mission is always to push the level as high as we can. Like, what is the highest level as a group that we can get to? And if that's good enough to win a championship because we execute and do all the things we need to do, then that's what we're trying to do. But you can't do that without taking care of business day to day and making sure that you're improving. And you're committed to the group and what we're trying to do as a group. So,
well, we want to let you go. Before you go, I just want to know, listening or looking at Christian Ramirez, what is he going to bring you that's maybe a little different than what you had before? And then just Zanka on the defensive side, adding him. What are your thoughts on those two players?
Yeah, I mean, with Christian, he's not like for like. Look, I would say the loss of Dayon is probably more of just a business and a thing that you have to. Nobody really wanted to. It is. So now it's you're pivoting and you're working to the next solution. And so getting a guy like Christian is you get league know-how. You get a guy who has consistently scored 10 plus goals. He comes from most recently being in Columbus, who is a possession-oriented club where he knows where to show up and how to read the game, looking back and pop into the right gaps and link up with his teammates. For me, it will be a pretty quick and seamless insert into our lineup because of his knowledge of the league and everything else. So you get somebody who can help us right away, both in the league and in Champions League and things like that, who shouldn't take a lot of time to settle into our group. And then, I think he'll grow. I think he can score. The way our guys can create opportunities is he starts to read and connect in anticipation with what our wingers are going to do and our runners are going to do. He's going to find good spots to be a finisher. So that's part of it. I think as we continue to go, we'll also look at longer term options and how we can keep building with Miggy coming along, and also at some point probably a younger version that we maybe wanted to invest a little more time to. But I like where he's at and what he can do for our team right off the bat. As far as Zanka, he brings another guy with experience. Right. We saw what Maya was able to do over the course of the last couple of years, the last 18 months. And last year, what a shift he put in last year. I think he played almost every minute of the season except for maybe a half or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was outrageous, but he can't expect him to do that again. So with the Zanka, hopefully those two can at times be together, at times balance the minutes out for each other. Again, I think he fits the profile of a center back that we like. He's comfortable on the ball. He's a leader. He's going to help run the line. He's got the legs of Emiro, obviously, next to him and others. And so, he can help to bring some stability to the group and, again, allow Maya at times to not have to play every minute of every game, which is, like I said, it's a tall ask. But so it's, again, another just good, solid piece that can help us right off the bat.
Well, Greg, we want to thank you for stopping by. Galaxy face-off against San Diego on February 23rd. You guys going to be ready?
We're going to be ready.
All right, awesome. Big round of applause.
Thank you for everybody for coming out.
MLS Cup champion coach.
There you go, Mr. Greg Vanney. Thanks, Greg.
And I'm actually going to handle the introduction for this next guy,
okay.
Tom Bogert.
No. See, you didn't get the notes. Oh. I got the notes. We're going from one Tom to the other Tom.
Okay.
So
you wait. I'm locked and loaded on this, Bogert.
We are now going to be joined by LA Galaxy President of Business Operations, Mr. Tom Braun. Big round of applause for Tom. Always glad to have him here. Tom, another wonder. Thank you, by the way. I would like behind the scenes. I would like to point out that Tom was the reason I got into the facility this morning because I was driving and he was in his golf cart. And I was like, Tom, let me in, and so he got me in this morning. Tom, we're out here.
He knows people.
He does know people. That's what I heard. It's gorgeous again. You see sort of the event that you have placed out in front of you, this sort of spring training vibe, this thing. From the Galaxy's perspective, how important is this?
Well, I think it was like 7 a.m.
It was,
6 a.m.
Yeah,
so we've been here for
something like that. Yeah,
we've been here for a minute. This is amazing. I'd like to take credit for it, but this is a lot of hard work for the Galaxy staff, right? Kara Korber, Taylor, James, those that wander around here all day long make this happen. So this is not easy. Sean Hilton, who is floating there in the green sweatshirt. We have the best grass in Major League Soccer at our stadium, but it's because of people like Sean who make it happen. So
big round of applause for Sean.
Sean.
That's awesome. Sean doesn't get thanked enough. Good job, Sean.
He should get thanked a lot. He does a lot of work.
And that field gets beat up. A lot of stuff going on there, and it always looks nice.
No, always. Best field in MLS, but definitely the best field in Los Angeles.
Well, 100%. That one, hands down, not a problem. Talk stadium renovations. Are we ready to go for the 23rd? Can we show up? Is it going to be ready?
Yeah. Come. It's going to be amazing.
What do you think of everything so far? Now that you see it, you see concept. Now it's in the flesh.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures on the internet.
I keep seeing those.
Who keeps doing it?
It's not me. That's for sure.
No, it looks amazing. I think everybody's going to be thrilled when they come out for it. It's a little bit of something for everybody. So all the seats have been replaced. You've seen many of the pictures. It's beautiful. Couldn't be more proud of it. Restrooms are getting already done. Press box is getting a facelift. We have some new concession options. We'll have new field side seating, new cabanas. So it's the first phase, but it's pretty impressive. It's amazing. Our stadium staff has done a ton of work. We talked about it, I think, on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Right.
December 8th came. We ripped out the field. We started ripping out seats, and it was always the plan that supposed to be by February 14th or so, it's going to be all mostly done, and then we got to just check to make sure the bolts are screwed in.
Right.
And, yeah, it'll be good. You'll love it.
I'll double check. Last year there was sort of a renewed focus on the stadium experience, right, and everything that's going on. Do you expect to continue that? Was that successful for you? Are you guys going to trying anything different? What can we expect from this 2025 season?
Yeah, no. So it's hard to beat what happened last year, right? I think everyone can agree last year was really special. So many huge moments for our club, from a stadium experience, the team performing on the field. Everything came together so nicely. So what are we doing now? We have to take it up a level. So the experience has to continue to be better. I think for a period of time, maybe we took our eye off the ball a little bit on how we make your experience at Dignity Health Sports Park the best it can be. So that is a renewed effort from us. So from top to bottom, like I said, new concessions, new everything that you're gonna see, and hopefully be in love with it.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot of fun.
And you got a new statue coming next year?
We do. You spoke to Cobi.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, he gave us the news.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, I know, right? How did that sort of come about? How do you choose Cobi Jones? By the way,
How do you choose?
I mean,
That's
that was
an easy choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
But how does it come to that?
Well, we knew we wanted to do something for Cobi. It was always important for us, and he didn't know it. We had been talking about it for probably almost a year, and we wanted to surprise him. It was important for us that we could surprise him, because you only get one chance to get a statue, I would think. So we called his agent, we called his wife, we invited them down. He thought he was coming into an all staff to talk about his experience playing, what it meant to be going and playing in a World Cup. So we had him teed up to give a presentation.
Right. Okay, good.
So he sat down, we walked his wife and his agent in, and then we unveiled it. So all of that was genuine feelings. He had no idea it was coming. I'm surprised we didn't leak it sooner, but I think he was very surprised and not a better person for it.
Yeah.
Well, your company's other facility, Crypto, there's so many statues. It's like walking through a Greek sculpture garden. There's maybe 700 statues over there, right at the Crypt. You have 2, now 3 with Cobi. Mm-hmm. Have you guys thought about what's the number that you're going to be able to fit in there? Or is it just going to develop?
So when we redid Legends Plaza, we actually have slabs that are already built into Legends Plaza. So we know where all the statues will go one day. Now, we don't know who will get the statues. Cobi's the next, and I'll tell you, and maybe this is the big reveal, Cobi's going to get a statue, and it's going to be in the same arc that David and Landon are in.
Okay, so in that same line as it comes across, okay.
Yep, so that's new. But who's next and when they're getting one, I guess we'll find out.
How many do you think you can get?
I think we have a lot of stadium we could cover.
Okay.
So it doesn't just have to be Legends Plaza.
Right.
But that's where Cobi's is going to go.
Joe Totino would be a good.
Joe Totino might be a good option.
That's always.
There's a lot of good. Unfortunately enough, we have a club that has a lot of amazing legends.
Yeah,
we can slot in.
It certainly goes that way. Hey, we want to thank you for stopping by. Is there anything else that we need to know about stadium experience? Anything you guys are focusing on, coming in or what?
Yeah, be ready. Home opener, San Diego, 23rd. We're going to do a MLS Cup celebration.
Okay.
We'll have the renovations. It's going to be a great day, great game. It will be the MLS, was it Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday night soccer.
Sunday night soccer.
Yes,
There you go. Thank you for helping me. But I think everyone's going to come and have an amazing time. And thank you for coming out to this. This is an amazing experience. I hope you all had a great time and come back. We want to keep doing this every year. But I think it's special what we've built. But this is all Galaxy. We did all this. And it's just something that's unique and special about AEG and about the LA Galaxy that hopefully you all can be proud of, because I know I am.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Everybody, big round of applause for Mr. Tom Braun. Tom, thanks for stopping by. Certainly appreciate it. All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
All right.
And now finally the stash.
Yeah, do you want to do the introduction? If you don't say from one Tom to another.
From one Tom to another. If you don't follow Tom Bogert, you really need to follow Tom Bogert. I've actually had players tell me that they didn't know they had been traded until Tom Bogert reported it. That's how good he is. And I didn't really get the sense of what a big deal, because he's kind of short, what a big deal he is until yesterday. I was at the team hotel the hotel that San Diego, Charlotte, and Chicago Fire are sharing. I was waiting for an interview, and I was sitting in an area with a couple of PR people, and Tom walks in, and it was like Taylor Swift walking into an NFL stadium.
That is exactly the same.
Everything that was going on stopped. Yeah. All the PR staff from the 3 teams were just right on him. And what can we get for you, Tom? He was there for 5 minutes and walked out.
Funny enough, it was the same red dress and boots that Taylor Swift was wearing as well. So everything was good. Tom, back out at Coachella, we did this last year. The LA Galaxy, when we were standing here last year, did we know the LA Galaxy were going to be as good as they were going to be? You didn't know, right? I didn't know, right?
I was optimistic optimistic, but it's unreasonable to have expected MLS Cup and everything to come together like it did. You knew that the pieces were there, but you never know how it's going to come together, and what a season it was. And I think that we started it here.
It was this, yeah. This is the stop that you need to. Galaxy in the offseason, Mark Delgado gone, Jalen Neal gone, Dejan Jovalic gone, all these traded as cap space and salary requests and everything that sort of comes in there. Gaston Bergman gone. It feels like there was a lot that went away. When you watch them out here on the field, maybe there's still that core is still there. But were you shocked at some of the moves that maybe they had to make?
Yeah, so I knew that they had to do moves because the cap monster gets you, particularly with a team that had so many talented players, so many like price players, all the allocation money that goes in and out. You didn't know who was going to go, who was going to stay. I was hearing and figuring out, oh wait, Dejan Jovalic ages out of U22. Like, are they going to be able to keep him? Even if he would sign Max Tam, would you be able to fit it there? And a lot of people kept saying, watch Dejan, watch Dejan. The midfield maneuvering, it makes sense because Mark Delgado got a new contract with LAFC.
Right.
Same thing with Dejan with Sporting Kansas City. I like that LA Galaxy had to do some of these moves. Again, like Will was telling you guys, we didn't want to. Like, this was difficult. But in those scenarios, you have a year left. We could have held you and then figure it out from there. But LAFC is going to give you a long-term contract.
Right.
If it works for us, this works for you. Same thing with Dejan. It was Tigres came in for him, and Kansas City did. And the Galaxy said, you can kind of pick, right? Like, the money's close enough as long as the money is.
Right.
And I think that's really important for how you treat players and getting the next players in. So Christian Ramirez, trialist number 17. Let me be careful.
Yeah, I know, right?
Number 17 came here.
Yeah.
He looks pretty good. I really like the Elijah Widener signing.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not the only one. You know my history with pronouncing young players at any level. I have a Charlie Rugg problem is what I have, right? And somebody rightfully called me out after the last podcast. I said, Winder, you got to watch this Winder kid. He's really good. Like, I'm really excited. I'm really high on him. And they're like, hey, okay, Charlie Rugg. And I'm like, that's fair. But what do you see from Winder?
So I knew he was a talented player. I liked his kind of physical profile. And I love when MLS teams are looking at USL because I wouldn't call it an untapped market, but there's been a lot of success there, and the prices aren't that bad. They're going to keep going up the more Diego Luna succeeds. If Widener succeeds, you go on down the list. But that's a market that teams should be exploring more. And Elijah, he was out. He had a long-term injury at one point. Didn't know. He was back in the team. He's an awesome midfielder.
Right.
Watching him here, I knew that his profile physically was good. Bigger than I thought in person.
Right.
Maybe that's a lot of people just from me watching them on TV.
Or 100%.
We're three short guys over here. So watching him move around in the midfield and like how clean and technical he is, he's such like a modern midfielder. He can do everything, but he's also like really like physically gifted. So I think he's going to win a lot of minutes. And there's a lot of good players in this midfield. Sean Davis, we haven't talked about either.
Right.
Edwin Cerrillo's obviously back. There's so many different options that this team reloaded really quickly, and it was very impressive.
Yeah, the U22 striker certainly to be named later, but probably already named as Will Kuntz. It seems
when he is signed, Tom Bogert will have it.
Yeah, Tom will have it.
I already tweeted about this one, so don't worry.
But like, when is it done, right, Tom? Right. Like, I want the done part. It's always the I get told by somebody it's not done until it's done, and even then it's not done, right? Like that type of thing. But what what profile for that U22 coming in and getting value out of that U22 spot? How important is sort of all that?
So I'll go back to trialist number 17. The way that if you look at the salary cap maneuvering, so Dejan Jovalic, what his hit if he aged out and stayed, something like 750,000, right?
Right.
You look at the former Columbus Crew center forward, he's on like around 500,000.
Right.
A U22 initiative slot hits at 200,000.
Right.
So they needed to they worked under those constraints and bring in MLS Cup winning, proven, a guy who played a similar system, who really excelled with stars around him, both in his own right, but also how can I accentuate you? How can I help get you in better position? So that fits really well. And now you have a really talented young player that you don't have to rely on him from day one to be like, adapt to a new league, a new team, all of this stuff, new language, new city, and oh, by the way, go be a really good player at 20 years old immediately.
Yeah.
So now they have both of those players, and it's a long season. Both are going to get a ton of minutes.
Right.
And that, like looking at that, that's how you draw it up. If you're standing in front of your whiteboard, if you're in the front office, and it rarely kind of comes to pass like that, where your ideal scenario in your head comes out. So I think that's worth celebrating as well.
prognostication for the Galaxy. It's tough to say repeat because I don't think any sane person in their mind would say repeat. There's 30 teams, right? There's
Exactly.
That I already go off that at odds. There's another team, makes it that much harder, that type of thing. But realistically, where do you expect this team to sort of finish this season out?
Even with no Ricky Pooch for most of the season,
Right.
This is a top 4 team in the West.
Yeah.
The West has a lot of really good teams. I think that the Galaxy are in that bracket, and I think that they push up for the minute that Ricky Pooch gets back. They're one of the best players in the league. There's the Galaxy, there's Seattle. I think LAFC are going to be really good. Those are probably the top 3 for me in the West. And if you say Galaxy's first or third or fourth,
Right.
I think it's going to be really tight. So something in that bracket, and then with the repeat conversation, 1 is just a math game. There's so many teams, right?
Right.
And 2, it's weird things happen in the playoffs so much. Like
Yeah.
you talk to Will, you talk to Greg. All these types are control. They try to be control freaks by nature because that's their job. They have to plan for everything. They want everything to work out. They don't want to admit that sometimes a little bit of luck is at play, and you never know what happens in the playoffs. So you try to get yourself as many tickets to the lottery as you can. Try to get a bye. Try to get more home games, and that usually helps as well. So they're going to be in the mix, whether or not they repeat. I'm not entirely sure. Wrong one. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Whether or not they repeat, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that they are absolutely in the mix in that top tier of like apex contenders.
Well, what do you think of San Jose? Because we're both really high on Bruce and Dave. The band's back together again. They've got a long way to climb. I don't think they're a top 4 team.
No.
But I think they're in the playoff mix, maybe.
I think so, and that's just the respect that everybody has for Bruce Arena,
Right.
and again, how quickly they've started to overturn the roster. The thing with them is I think there's a large delta between their 100% season and their 0%, because you could tell me right now, Chicho Rango, Joseph Martinez play off each other, they score a ton of goals, and I could see that scenario. You can also see a scenario where it doesn't quite work. One of them goes to the bench, whoever it is isn't super happy, and regardless around that, the defensive unit, maybe it's still shaky. Again, this was statistically the worst defense in MLS history last year. So they do have a lot to improve. If they make the playoffs, that's a success. I know Bruce wouldn't say that because his expectations are always top and he wants the turnaround to be immediate. From the outside, if they make the playoffs, that's a phenomenal season.
One question I have for you, because we talk about this a lot, and I am not a big fan of the turnover that happens every year. And you're kind of in the same space as us as a journalist. You work with front offices, you intellectually understand what's going on, but you also talk to the fans and you spend time with the fans and you work for the fans, providing information for the fans. I don't like the fact that a guy like Jalen Neal, a homegrown player, could have been here for 15. It could have been Cobi, could have been here his whole career, and people would be cheering for Jalen Neal. Or Dayon came here. This was his first club. Instead, because of these salary rules, all these people out here are now cheering for laundry, as Gary Seinfeld said. They're just cheering for the shirt. They're not cheering for the players. Is that going to hurt MLS long term? The fact that they don't build. There's no Derek Jeter for the Galaxy anymore.
This is something I think about a lot too, and I'm trying to figure out where the best place, because there is no Derek Jeter in MLS because there's no Derek Jeter in global soccer. Even at the top clubs, like what Trent Alexander-Arnold is at Liverpool, he might leave. Just the longevity of staying in a team and just the crazy nature. So again, in Europe, you have less restrictions for the salary cap, a lack of a salary cap, a lack of all these rules. But still, the teams are turned over all the time. And there's a lot of incentives for transfers to happen. New contract. Again, players want to capitalize on their best spot. I can't blame them at all. But just global soccer is just so much different. And it's not a one league situation. I know, to go to basketball, I would have said Luka Doncic was somebody that would never, ever, ever be traded.
Right.
And then he was. So even in these leagues where it's more closed, where this is the one market, you're not dealing with a Real Madrid in the same way as like NBA is the Real Madrid, where they get all of the players from everywhere else, and the draft kind of keeps you on the same team. So soccer's always different, and I would even come to the middle. So I don't think that it's realistic to expect a one-club player in MLS at this stage, because they excel and they leave. Or they don't do good enough, they get replaced. Or if they're somewhere in the middle, the salary cap messes it up. But I do want to see more longevity even in windows. Columbus Crew is a good example. Mm-hmm. The window is not over, but that era is over.
Right.
That 2 years, if you take Cucho out, Darlington Nagbe's in a different place. Christian Ramirez, that team has already overturned so much. It was 2 years. Yeah. And I don't like how quick the windows are with these teams, but the salary cap and everything else. And if you play really well, then you're going, after MLS Cup, we were asking, is there going to be offers for Gabriel Peck?
Yeah.
And I hate that, right? Like, he just got here.
Yeah, LAFC has 2 players left from their 2022 team.
Yeah.
There's 2 players left from, I think the initial, whenever Greg Vanney came here, is now it's Ricky. whenever he finally did, and it's Zavaleta.
And Ricky came mid-season, right?
Yeah, and he came mid-season, right? So they just even looking at sort of how that all fits in. Well, Tom, we appreciate you stopping by. I know you got some breaking news to cover. You got some stuff to do, right? Do that whole thing.
It's the Super Bowl. I know that I need to, and there's a lot of Philadelphia fans across the league.
Okay.
So, and I know that in a couple hours, probably even right now, they don't want to hear from me. They got their green face paint.
Are you walking across to the other game?
That one isn't very close right now, so I don't know. I think it's like 6-0.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we'll let you go. Well, Tom, always appreciate you stopping by. If you don't follow Tom Bogert, you need to. He's absolutely one of the best, and we always love having him. Mr. Tom Bogert, everybody. All right.
Thanks.
No. All right. So just sort of recapping everything, 2-2 draw with the LA Galaxy. Always great to hear from everybody from the Galaxy, including, Zanka, Cobi Jones, Greg Vanney, Will Kuntz, Tom Braun, Tom Bogert. Always great to have everybody out here. We appreciate you coming out and supporting us and having here. So thank you so much for coming out here on a Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully you enjoyed your time. As always, we have 2 weekly shows, Monday nights and Thursday night, although tomorrow night's show is this one. So you guys got a little preview of it, but we'll go ahead and post this a little bit later. But a big round of applause for all of you for coming out. We certainly appreciate it.
And Taylor Swift sound guy?
Yeah, and Mike was running our sound today. Matt was barking for us over there as well. So we had some great interaction. So anything else? You good?
No.
Okay, good. We'll get on out of here then. All right. If you're looking for Mr. Kevin Baxter, of course, at KBaxter11 on all your social media channels, and head over to the LATimes.com for all of his wonderful stuff. If you're looking for me on any of the social medias, it's at Galaxy Podcast Corner, thegalaxy.com. And of course, we come to you on Mondays and Thursday nights live on YouTube. All right. A big thank you to the LA Galaxy, Kevin Acevedo, Jamie, anybody else, Natalie, who was involved in this as well, James, who has helped us out. We certainly appreciate it. You guys have a safe drive back. Enjoy it. And we will be back here next year or later this week. For Mr. Kevin the Panda Baxter, I'm Josh Pato Guesman, and you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy from the Box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.